Today, we're going to be breaking down a topic in probate real estate that really doesn't meet the eye, doesn't come across as, these are the people that you get them on the phone, you ask them if they want to sell the house, and they tell you, we're not sure right now, we're not doing anything right now. What is really behind that? What are they really saying is the problem? Why aren't they actually moving forward? And it's going to be what we're going to talk about today, which is family conflict. Okay. So in probate real estate, you guys know that it's not just a husband and a wife selling a house, it's an entire family. So this can be one executor, or my biggest case yet, 23 executors. Okay, well, it was one executor, but 23 beneficiaries. So imagine all of those people have to get on board, right? All those people have to participate together. So what happens if they don't, right? And that's what we're going to talk about today. So for those of you that don't know me, my name is Carolynn Castillo. I'm a probate real estate specialist here in Florida. I've personally helped hundreds of families through the probate real estate process. And now not only do I continue, I'm still an active agent, I'm still working with families every single day, but I also help train realtors for their markets in their cities for them to open up probate businesses in their area. So if that's you watching this today, I want to connect with you. I'm looking for strategic partnerships with realtors across the country, shit, even across the world. Probate is a global thing, right, guys? Everybody's going to pass away at some point. And right now, we're at the beginning of the great wealth transfer. By 2030, right now, we're at the beginning of it, I believe, because as of 2030, the youngest baby boomer will be 65, okay? It's kind of weird to think about, but it is what it is. The baby boomers hold the greatest amount of wealth any generation has ever held. And 50% of that wealth is in real estate, guys. So these transactions are going to be happening. And right now, there's only really investors that are going after probate. So I believe there's a great awakening of real estate professionals that are looking for a niche, that want to help families that are transitioning throughout this process. So if you're a realtor watching this and you're interested in learning more about probate real estate and how you can build this out in your market, the link is in the bio. Book an appointment with me and let's talk about how we can do this in your market, okay? So let's get on with the training today. So we're going to be going over what are the common types of problems that families have because of the people. Okay, they've got a lot of other problems out there, which is the condition of the home, the house being full of contents, going through a court process, through the probate. But we're going to talk about the type of family conflicts. Okay, so the number one thing that is very common is the out of state beneficiary, right? So you hear it all the time in probate. Somebody will be telling you their story and they'll say, yes, my mom got ill and I had to go home. I had to, leave my career. I had to go home. I had to help my mom throughout her process. And there was other brothers and sisters and they were at different locations, right? And there was only one family member that was helping the person that then became the decedent, right? So the other beneficiaries in the other markets are kind of like detached from what's happening on a physical level, okay? A lot of times what happens in those cases is the daughter or brother or son that actually went to help the ill parent, they either left their property wherever they were, they sold it, they rented it, whatever the case, and they're now living in the decedent's property. It's very common, right? When our parents get older, you either have to put them in a nursing home where they can get care 24/7, or the family helps and they move into the property with their mom and dad or whoever the decedent would be, to help take care of them. Well, now that has become that person's primary residence, right? So the real estate is now owned by the family, right? The real estate is owned by the decedent, but now there's somebody, one of the beneficiaries is living in the home, and the other beneficiaries are kind of detached from the situation and they're living outside of the state. Okay. So with these cases, they have to be handled with care. Sometimes, the person that's living in the home, left their job, they don't have any means of income. So for them to be able to move to another property is going to be difficult, right? You also have it where, the maybe the house is paid off, or maybe the decedent was paying all the bills, but now that person that's living in the home has to now go out and find an apartment or find another place to live and things like that. So, and then you've got the pressure from, the people that don't live local, that don't live in the house, and they're saying, we want to sell, we want to sell, we want to move forward, we want to get this over with. But then the person is actually living in the house. It's a completely different situation, right? So that happens very commonly on how to move forward when one of the beneficiaries is that's their primary residence, and the other family members just want to go ahead and sell and they want to get a piece of their inheritance. Okay. Now, another one that you'll run across is sentimental, right? So sometimes you'll have a beneficiary or you'll have an heir, and they've actually been, very sentimental about moving forward with the process, and the other family members are ready to get it done. I've seen families give their brothers or sisters or aunts and uncles, whoever it is, sometimes months, right? To let them process what's been happening and everything like that. And sometimes it goes south. The more time that people have, sometimes they get almost more attached to the situation and they don't want to let it go, right? So a lot of times you'll see like half of the family is ready to move forward and handle the business side of the estate, but then one family member is sentimental, they don't want to let go of the house. Something very interesting, I actually had the opportunity to interview a grief counselor. Okay. And when I had interviewed her, it was interesting because I realized that the house, when somebody passes away, the house sometimes is like that last piece of that person, right? So when families are, yes, they want to sell, yes, they want to move forward, but there's something that is holding them back, because by them moving forward and selling the house, it's almost like they feel like that's their last piece of their loved one. So that can be something that you may be dealing with. And that one is even undercover, because they won't tell you that they're emotional. They won't tell you that, hey, I'm holding on because this is the last piece of my dad or whatnot. I had one lady tell me, she was like, well, she's like, I know I want to sell the house, but she's like, right now, I just want to like go over to the house on the weekends, and I just want to like, be there at the house on the weekend. She lived like an hour away from the house. And so, that woman actually shared with me her feelings, but sometimes that one, they don't share it, but that's actually what's happening. That's actually why they're not moving forward, is because they don't want to let go of that last piece of their loved one, right? Another one is you'll have a financially motivated heir. So one of the heirs may be very financially motivated. They, want to hurry up and move forward with the sale. And then another heir could completely care less, right? They don't care about the money. They don't care about getting the estate settled. So you'll find that out when you have maybe one beneficiary that doesn't have, as much money, and then another beneficiary that, is well off, and they're not really, they don't care about the money so much, and then somebody else does, right? So you've got like these two different levels of motivation between the parties. Okay. And just think about the whole thing, guys. Like, think about your own family, right? Like, how would it be for you if your family all inherited a property, right? Like, do the example with yourself, okay? How do you think it would go down? Are you and your brothers and sisters, do you guys talk every day? Do you have a good working relationship? Do you think that one would kind of move forward and one would slow down and one would, drag their feet? Like, what? These are real families, right? Real situations. And nobody typically is prepared for this, guys. Me, that I work in probate every day and I see it, all the time. But most families, like I said, they only go through this maybe once or twice a lifetime. It's not something that you go through a lot in your life. Okay, so it catches everybody by surprise. And then the fourth one, which is probably the most difficult one, okay, which is if you have a missing or a completely uncooperative heir, okay? And the reason why this one is the most difficult one is because in order to settle an estate, everybody has to be involved, right? So if you don't know where someone is or you don't have contact information of a beneficiary of the estate, there is a whole process that has to take place to be able to locate that person and to be able to find that person. So I've worked on cases where a family member that was inheriting was two sisters, and one of the sisters had been missing legitimately before anybody passed away for like 7 years. She was just estranged from the family completely. And they actually ended up, the last known address that she had was in Arizona. And they actually ended up having to do a presumption of death certificate in Arizona so that she could settle her estate here in Florida. Okay. Because based on the statutes of how long someone had to be missing, they had to submit police reports and bank statements and all kinds of things to show that there's literally been no activity from that person. And then they were actually able to move forward with the estate. Okay. So literally that one is the hardest one, guys. Okay. So that's one of the ones that if you're meeting with a family and you ask them, who all is the beneficiaries, is everybody around, is everybody participating? And if they say, oh, well, my mom had this other son, but we have no idea where he is, we don't know any information about him, that's a big red flag. And it's not to say that you can't work with that family, because like I said, I have worked with families in that case, but you have to be very diligent and careful, work very closely with the probate attorney, because that will have to be resolved. So like in Florida, if it's the primary residence of the decedent, all the beneficiaries have to sign the closing document. Nobody can be left behind, okay? Now, if it's an investment property, then only the executor has to sign. So that's the nice thing about that. But most of the time in probate, you're selling the decedent's property, so you do need all beneficiaries to come together. So how do we get through this, right? How do we push forward in these family disagreements, in these family conflicts? How do we actually move forward? So besides the one with the missing and uncooperative heirs, because that one will require legal action, okay? So you will have to file certain documents and things like that to be able to proceed in those cases. But let's say some of the other ones that we had discussed, such as, someone living in the property, somebody that is emotional, people that are just holding back the estate. So everybody wants to move forward except this one person, right? So what I do is I have had great success in just communicating with that heir, okay? And what I have found, like with the heir that is, not communicating, not participating, not really wanting to move forward with the family and selling the house, I have had great success in just having a conversation with that person. And what I found in more 9 times out of 10, to be honest, 9 times out of 10 is that the family is there's like old beef between the family. It's almost like big brother telling little brother what to do. There's, the family may be talking to each other, but they're not actually hearing each other, right? So when a third party comes in, like myself, okay, and I'm able to go to the house or I'm able to contact them over the phone and just introduce myself as a neutral third party, okay? So sometimes even like an attorney can be a little scary for people, right? People think like, oh, it's the attorney, like, oh, I got to put up my guard, the attorney, I got to get my own attorney because they got an attorney, right? So sometimes like the whole attorney thing can won't work. Like the attorney will say, we've been trying to call her, but she's not answering the phone. They won't talk to the attorney, right? So I basically come in as like that neutral third party that's helping the family with the real estate portion of the estates process, right? So they usually talk to me very easily or open the door to me very easily. And I basically sit down with them and find out what is their position. Like, what is it that they want? What is it that they're concerned about? Okay. And I help them accomplish it, right? So if it's somebody that, this became their primary residence because they were having to be the caretaker of the home, a lot of times there's like a family riff about the people that are not local, and there's the one local sibling that's been kind of taking the blunt of all of the care for their relative, and the other people have just been away, and oh, so easy for them to say they want to sell and they want the money, but I was the one here taking care of mom. So sometimes it's just a matter of just hearing them out and then helping strategize the best way to get them transitioned. So if that means that we have to maybe organize a post occupancy agreement, so once the people get their money in their pocket, then they can go ahead and move forward. Maybe it's something that they need help physically to be able to relocate and be able to find another place, right? That could be the option. But 9 times out of 10, it's just being that neutral third party. I can't tell you how many cases I've had where the executor's like, yeah, I want to sell, but my sister refuses to cooperate, and it's just going to go into foreclosure. Like, I don't know, like there's nothing we could do because she's uncooperative, right? And I would tell the executor, I say, okay, so if I'm able to communicate with your sister, if I'm able to get your sister on board, can we agree to do business together? And they're like, oh yeah, if you could deal with my sister, definitely, I'll okay, perfect, sir, go ahead and sign my listing paperwork, right? And then I go out and I meet the sister, and I tell you, 9 times out of 10, the sister is like, I'm so happy you're here. My brother is such an asshole. Like they are literally against each other, but they both really ultimately want the same things. They just don't know how to communicate with each other, right? So you basically become the realtor for the person living in the house and the realtor for the executor, kind of similar of what you would do on a divorce case, right? Like you basically have to communicate with the husband and the wife separately, but it gets the ball moving forward, okay? Now, the secret weapon in family negotiations is what makes a good negotiation. Well, a good negotiation is the power of who has the upper hand, right? Well, in probate, no family member can stop the estate from moving forward. So there is a court proceeding called a partition. And this happens in every single state. So everybody has access to this. And so basically, if there's a family that you cannot civilly bring these people together and help them move forward, okay, then you basically will tell them, to that disgruntled family member, I'm here to help you do things the nice way, I'm here to help you get moving forward. I can make accommodations for you. I can get you a post occupancy. You know, there's a lot of things that I can do for you to help make this smooth and easy for you. However, if you choose not for me to help you, then what's going to happen is we're going to file a partition, and the partition is going to go before the judge, and the judge is going to simply ask the disgruntled heir, right? They're going to ask them, do you have the means to purchase this property? 9 times out of 10, they don't. So they're going to say, no, I don't have the means to purchase this property. And then the judge is going to say, okay, affirmatively ordered, this property is to be sold. And in some cases, the judge actually assigns it to be sold. And so you have no, basically, there's no way, there's no customizations. Like, you got to get your stuff out of the house. It's basically like you're getting evicted, you know? So it's an easy negotiation because we hold the upper hand. The state holds the upper hand because there's a legal process that will move these people forward if they don't participate. So, you know, that's why I say it's 9 times out of 10 when you share the facts, when you express, you know, what's going to happen in the case, then the people are like, okay, let's see how we can work this out. Let's see how we can go ahead and move this forward, you know? And that's it. And you're there, guys. Like, this is what I tell people all the time. When you call probate leads and they say, oh, are you thinking about selling? Yes, we want to sell, but we're not ready right now. Like, we don't really know. We're not ready right now. There is a whole story behind we are not ready right now. Okay. And one of the biggest stories is because of beneficiaries not getting along and beneficiaries not knowing how to move forward. You know how many family members like literally would have said, I'm just going to forget about the house. I'm just going to let it go to foreclosure because I can't deal with my sister, brother, whatever the case. And then you say, well, can I help you? And they say, yes, you can help me. And then we're able to put the deal together, you know? So I hope this was helpful for you guys. This is pretty much, oh, I see a question coming in here. It says, what about what about when they say my attorney is handling it? Oh, yeah, that's a perfect one. So, of course, your attorney is handling it because your attorney is the one that filed the case. So, when you're calling these leads, you're going to want to say, yes, sir, I see that. You say, oh, I was calling to see if you might be thinking of selling the house. And they say, well, my attorney's handling everything. Thank you so much. Then you say, okay, perfect. I see you're working with Mr. John Smith and he's handling your probate process. What we're calling you today is we handle the real estate side of the probate process. And we wanted to find out if you might be thinking about selling the property in the estate. So it's literally a matter of just acknowledging what they say, giving some dynamic data, like dropping the attorney's name, and then closing with the next part of your script, which is asking them if they want to move forward to sell. Okay. Awesome. Nice question. Thank you so much. So wonderful, guys. Well, I hope this was helpful. I am going to put the replay up. And like I said, if you're watching this live today and you're thinking, Carolyn, I want to do probate real estate, which is in Long Island. So I'm assuming you're in New York. Okay. If you were thinking about going dominating in probate, or you just are a realtor that wants to learn about probate, because in my opinion, every realtor should understand how to do a probate transaction. They should understand the good, the bad, and the ugly of probate so that they can not feel intimidated when somebody tells them, oh, my father passed away. There's a lot going on right now, but I know we're going to be selling the house, but I'll keep in touch with you. And the realtor is like, okay, yeah, just let me know. But if you understand probate, then you can be like, hey, let's set up a consultation. I actually am trained in probate. I understand the moving parts. Let's go ahead and get a meeting set up. Because by the time you follow up with them, when things are settled, guess what? They already got on the phone with me and they already got the property listed, right? So we got to learn how to penetrate, you know, that I'm not ready yet. You know, we're thinking about it. We're unsure. That's what I train realtors on, and how to be a probate listing agent. Okay, guys? So thank you a million bazillion for everybody that's live here today. And please, if you're interested, book a appointment with me. My link is in the bio, and YouTube, I'll post it in the video below. As always, I appreciate it, guys, and have a blessed Tuesday, okay? See you on the next one.